Welcome back to my vessel of light. Tonight begins with a promise hidden in fabric. She saved it for later. It chose a different date, and letting go arrived like light through a carefully guarded window. Ana Morales kept the dress in a cedar box at the back of her closet, folded in tissue, ocean blue, silk that remembered hands, set aside for someday. The day that always postponed itself kindly. Someday meant a celebration that would untangle everything when the job settled. When the move finished, when the heart felt steadier, the dress became a calendar without numbers, a lighthouse that never lit, only waited. On an ordinary Thursday, Ana found a small card on the box lid. Not written, woven, letters formed by threads in the lining. The message said, today, not later. The word thinned her breath gently. She laughed at herself and closed the closet, then opened it again because curiosity learns quickly the card could not exist and yet existed. She carried the box to the bed and listened for explanation. None arrived, only a patience that felt like weather. Ana brewed tea and told herself it was a prank of memory. Still, she laid the blue silk across the quilt and felt her shoulders loosen. The fabric held a coolness that invited calm, not fancy, not performance, simply accurate. She remembered buying it with her Aunt Daniela years ago. Daniela had said, choose one item that teaches you how to arrive. Since then, Ana had postponed arriving. Later, a shelf label for dreams, promotions, relationships that almost fit. Apartments with nearly enough light, the dress became a witness to deferrals, a quiet archive of someday. Her phone chimed with a reminder she did not remember setting, walk to the river at 4, wear something that helps you tell the truth. Ana exhaled, then smiled because the day had already voted. She tried on the dress and found it kinder than habit predicted. Not tight, not loud. The mirror did not ask for performance. It asked for presence. She tied her hair simply and chose soft shoes. Outside, late afternoon spread like watercolor. The city breathed. The bus lets someone go first. A neighbor returned a smile without bargaining for one. By the river, the wind rehearsed a slower tempo than yesterday. A musician tuned a guitar near the railing. 2 children argued about clouds. A runner slowed. Ana stood at the water and felt something accurate happen. The kind of alignment that does not need cameras for proof. She remembered why the dress existed. An earlier plan to celebrate a partnership that had ended kindly but thoroughly. She had kept the garment as if loyalty could be folded and stored until another story. A woman about her age sat nearby and nodded. Not an invitation, a recognition. The woman wore a saffron scarf and carried a paper bag from a tailor. Threads peeked out like small future sentences. Ana sat and the woman smiled. The silence behaved like good tea. Then the woman said she was Mira. She was returning 2 outfits she saved for someday that kept becoming never. Her voice felt steady. They spoke about calendars that apologize, about how letting go is not surrender but maintenance. Mira said she kept a list named Keep Moving Kindly. It included water, early bedtimes, and saying no before resentment forms. Ana looked at the river and said she had a dress that wrote today by itself. Mira did not look surprised. Some objects carry our intentions until we are strong enough to carry them openly. A breeze lifted the hem and Ana felt a small grief leave, not from loss. From the weight of holding everything for later, she wrote 3 words in her notes, "Wear life now." They walked to a nearby cafe and shared bread with salted butter. Mira said she would host a clothing exchange on Saturday for pieces that deserve new chapters. Aina promised to come if courage continued. On the way home, Aina passed a consignment shop with a handwritten sign, "Second chances for beautiful things," the phrase "softer steps." She realized letting go could be hospitality rather than eviction, a welcome. Back in her apartment, she returned the dress to the hanger, not the box. Boxes teach distance, hangers teach readiness. She photographed the garment against the window. The fabric borrowed sunlight and looked like water learning language. That evening, she called Aunt Daniela and told her the dress had chosen today. Daniela laughed warmly and said objects sometimes know our timing better than our calendars. Then she asked for pictures and promised empanadas soon. Aina slept with the window cracked and the dress visible. Morning found her already awake. She brewed coffee and wrote a small plan. Wear it to the market, wear it to the bookstore, wear it to hello. At the market, the florist wrapped eucalyptus gently and said the colors suited her. Aina practiced receiving without explaining, a new skill. At the bookstore, she found a novel about starting over that refused melodrama and chose patience. At noon, her phone buzzed, a message from her manager about an opportunity that sounded shiny and exhausting. Travel without rhythm, deadlines without air. The old her would say yes first and negotiate oxygen later. She stood by the window and touched the hem. The dress asked a question without speaking. Can you belong to this and still belong to yourself? Aina typed a respectful no and suggested a colleague who needed a door. Relief arrived without drama. A soft recalibration of breath. She realized the dress had become a boundary she could wear. Not armor, a reminder that presence fits better when agreements fit. She wrote that sentence down. Saturday brought Mira's exchange. A bright room with mirrors that did not scold. Tables labeled stories, work, rest, movement, celebration. People placed garments with small notes. Thank you for holding me when I had less language. Aina brought 2 blouses and a skirt that kept asking to be someone else's. She left with a linen jacket that taught posture and a scarf the color of early pears, traits that felt like truth. In a corner, a tailor named Sora offered small alterations and kindness by the inch. She shortened sleeves while asking how people wanted to live inside their clothes. Aina asked for nothing, then asked for courage. Sora nodded and pinned the hem. She said, "We are all learning how to fit ourselves rather than force ourselves." The mirror approved, the room remembered to breathe, and nobody apologized for wanting pockets. After the exchange, Aina visited her grandmother's old neighborhood and walked streets that had kept her childhood safe. She stopped at the pastry shop and was recognized by the owner, who remembered her favorite, guava and cheese. He asked about the dress because good shopkeepers notice details. She said it chose today. He nodded as if hearing weather. He wrapped 2 extra pastries and said some days need sweetness to seal decisions properly. On the train home, a child stared at the blue silk and asked if it made her faster. Aina said it made her kinder to her own pace. The child accepted this without needing further evidence. Evening brought gentle rain that wrote temporary grammar on sidewalks. Aina lit a candle and placed the cedar box on the table. She wrote a card and slid it inside, retired from Sunday, dedicated to Honest Today. She chose a charity that outfits women returning to work and emailed to ask what they needed. They replied with a list and gratitude. She promised to deliver pieces next week. Her closet thanked her silently. Days gathered into a rhythm, wear, care, share. Some mornings wanted jeans and a messy bun. Some asked for the blue dress and a slower commute. All asked for water and 3 minutes near the window. A small obstacle arrived. A friend teased her for being sentimental about clothes. Anna smiled and said she was being precise about her agreements. Then she invited the friend to Saturday's exchange to meet her future favorites. Work became a place where she protected oxygen kindly. She declined sprinting projects and embraced steady ones. Colleagues noticed her reliability improved, not by speed, by accuracy. Her no protected everyone's yes from souring. One afternoon, Aunt Daniela visited with empanadas and a folder of old photos. There they were at the boutique years ago, both younger and already themselves. Daniela said, "You did not buy a dress. You bought a tempo." They laughed and ate and left crumbs on the table like small anchors for memory. Anna realized letting go had changed objects and also rooms. Her apartment held decisions that matched the person who lived there. She moved the cedar box to a shelf with notebooks labeled the year she learned to pause. She kept the dress on a hanger where morning light could find it. Readiness over postponement, practice over fantasy. A letter arrived from the charity with a photograph of a woman wearing one of Anna's donated blouses. The note said she felt seen at her interview. Anna cried like rain that cleans rather than floods. Mira texted a picture of her empty tailor bag and a caption, "We released 20 pieces to good homes." Anna sent a blue heart and a slice of afternoon light on her floor. Currency of friends. The city shifted into a kinder gear, or perhaps she did. Trains felt less adversarial. Doors opened at the right pace. Invitations arrived that matched stamina. She accepted with gratitude and kept room for breathing. She wrote a list for her wall. Begin smaller, finish kinder, retire someday when today is ready, mend what you love, move on from what mends into someone else's life. The list looked like weather that forgives. On the anniversary of buying the dress, she returned to the river wearing it simply. No party, just presence. She leaned on the railing and offered a thank you to the day for showing up exactly on time. A runner slowed and asked where she found the color. Anna said she found the decision first. Then the color cooperated. The runner nodded as if fed, and kept moving at a pace that respected knees. At home, she washed the silk by hand and hung it carefully. Care is ritual, not fuss. She realized letting go and keeping can be the same craft when the rule is fit and kindness. She opened the cedar box and placed the woven card on top, today, not later, then added a new one for future mornings. Choose what holds without holding you. Choose what frees without erasing you. Some nights she wore the dress for no reason except good soup and a book. She learned that celebration can be quiet and still count. The room agreed by feeling larger than its dimensions. If you save something for someday and it keeps choosing today, consider listening, try it for a walk, a coffee, a gentle conversation. See if the object has been holding your timing until you could. Thank you for being here with my vessel of light. If this story kept you company, like the video so the candle travels farther. Subscribe to my vessel of light and share one thing you will release or wear kindly this week.